What if I told you the gospel couple everyone thought was relationship goals was actually living in a real-life Tyler Perry thriller? What if that Sunday morning praise and worship energy was masking a dirty, cold-blooded conspiracy? Straight from the dinner plate? Because according to exclusive anonymous medical leaks, David Mann didn't just fall out of love, he allegedly fell into a full-blown plot to eliminate his wife, Tamela Mann. And guess who finally broke the silence? Dr. Jackie, the woman who had a front row seat to the entire medical madness and allegedly warned Tamela months ago. But guess what? No one believed her, but now? Oh, now the cuffs are on, the tea is boiling, and the gospel world is shook. So was it really sickness? Or sabotage? Love? Or leverage? A supportive husband? Or a behind-the-scenes predator poisoning a queen for the throne? Y'all, we're about to peel back the choir robe and expose a sickening betrayal years in the making. Get comfortable, get suspicious, and get ready, because what's about to unfold is darker than any Sunday sermon you've ever heard. So let's start at the very beginning, because this fairy tale gospel couple didn't just fall apart, baby. They imploded from the inside out. And guess what? The rot was marinating behind closed doors for years. From the outside, David Mann was the goofy, lovable Mr. Brown, cracking jokes in a two-piece suit while Tamela hit soul-shattering notes that made church Andies cry and throw off their wigs. But inside their million-dollar mansion, allegedly, it was giving Jekyll and Hyde meet snapped. Celebrity edition. Now buckle up, because the drama starts slow and sweet like Tamela's sweet potato cobbler but ends with a mugshot, a medical betrayal, and a plate of alleged poison lasagna. You see, folks had been whispering for years about David's controlling behavior. Behind that jolly sitcom laugh was a man who couldn't stand Tamela's shine. And according to anonymous family insiders, things took a dark turn once Tamela started pulling bigger checks than David. I'm talking sold-out gospel tours, bet awards, millions streaming singles, while David? Well, David was busy playing house husband and quietly plotting a divine dethroning. Now let's rewind just a bit, because this plot thickened like cold grits. Back in 2022, Tamela reportedly collapsed after a routine studio session. Fans were told it was exhaustion, but one nurse at the ER who has now anonymously spoken out claims her toxicology report showed trace levels of a certain chemical compound. One that ain't exactly sold over the counter, baby. One that's more often found in, you guessed it, rat poison. But here's where it gets sinister. Instead of raising alarm bells, David allegedly begged the hospital staff to keep things private, citing family reputation. He even fired Tamela's longtime chef the next morning. Suspicious? Oh, we're only getting started, because not even a week later, Dr. Jackie, Tamela's longtime wellness specialist and spiritual counselor, started noticing patterns. Tamela's mood swings, her foggy memory, the unexplained weight loss, the unexplained nausea. Jackie claims she begged Tamela to get a second opinion, to run real tests, but every time, David would conveniently cancel the appointment. Or worse, show up himself to escort Tamela and speak on her behalf. Chilly. Does that sound like a loving husband or a handler? And then just when folks thought Tamela was bouncing back, boom, another mysterious collapse. This time after a family dinner allegedly prepared by David himself. A baked ziti that coincidentally no one else touched. And Tamela rushed back to the hospital for the second time in 3 months. Now here's where the gloves come off, because Dr. Jackie, tired of being gaslit, silenced, and dismissed, took matters into her own hands. She pulled Tamela aside during a private appointment and flat out told her, "You are being poisoned. Your symptoms are not random. Your lab results don't lie. Somebody in your house wants you gone." Tamela reportedly broke down in tears. She didn't want to believe it, but deep down, sis knew. She had already noticed David acting weird, watching her eat like a hawk, micromanaging her meals, arguing over vitamin regimens, telling her to stop seeing Jackie because she was getting too close. And you know what they say, when a man starts isolating you from the people trying to help, you better start watching your back. And it was at that moment, according to Jackie, that Tamela finally agreed to run independent labs outside of David's reach. And what came back? Baby, let's just say the results weren't gospel approved. Low-grade toxins, trace metals, residual sedatives, chemicals that could slowly deteriorate the body over time if administered in just the right doses. The kind of silent attack that wouldn't raise suspicion until it was too late. And suddenly, all the puzzle pieces started to click. The sudden illnesses, the cancelled tour dates, the delayed album releases, the hushed tension in interviews. Even Tamela's usually vibrant, glowing energy faded, replaced by someone who seemed scared, confused, controlled. Meanwhile, David was out here smiling for cameras, uploading devotionals on Instagram like he wasn't allegedly running a chemical warfare campaign on his own wife. But guess what, y'all? That mask, it was about to fall all the way off, because Jackie didn't stop there. Once she got those labs back, she did the unthinkable. She went to the authorities, quietly, carefully, and began building a paper trail. And that's where Part 2 begins, because the moment Jackie turned informant, the case against David Mann didn't just heat up. It exploded. So now the internet is on fire, the streets are buzzing, and the choir is silent because, baby, this ain't no ordinary scandal. This is a full-blown betrayal bathed in holy water and marinated in courtroom subpoenas. And the match that lit this inferno? One woman with nothing to lose and a medical license on the line. Dr. Jackie, let's rewind the tape. After Tamela's sudden collapse backstage before what was supposed to be her miraculous return to the pulpit stage, fans were left confused. Exhaustion, they said. Dehydration, the PR team mumbled. But Dr. Jackie? Oh, she wasn't buying it. She had been treating Tamela privately for months off the books, of course after the gospel star confided in her about some very unholy symptoms: chronic fatigue, swelling, hair loss, emotional fog. And honey, we're not talking perimenopause. So, what does Dr. Jackie do? She runs a talk screen, quietly, privately, and what she finds, let's just say, the devil was busy. Trace amounts of thallium, a heavy metal, odorless, tasteless, and once famously used in Cold War spy murders, a substance banned in most consumer products, and found, brace yourselves, in Tamela's daily herbal tea blend, the same one David insisted she take for hormonal balance. Oh, now that's rich, but it gets better or worse, depending on how much you value your life. According to a leaked report, thank you, anonymous nurse with a cracked iPhone 8, Dr. Jackie confronted David privately. What she thought would be a calm discussion turned into a shouting match outside the hospital's chapel. Sources say Jackie shouted, "You're killing her," to which David allegedly replied, "She was already dead to me, baby." What in the Lifetime original is going on here? Twitter immediately caught wind. The hashtag #DeliVirus from David was trending by midnight. Gospel fans were throwing entire hymnals at the wall. TikTok pastors were doing stitch reactions mid-sermon. Even Bishop T.D. Jakes looked like he was about to throw hands during a live stream prayer session. But wait, this story doesn't slow down, because when authorities arrived to quietly question David at their gated mansion, he wasn't just shady, he was already packed. Luggage, passports, and Tamela's favorite wig mysteriously missing from the closet. He allegedly told officers he was just going to a retreat. Oh sweetie, not with that extradition treaty, you're not. And guess what else officers found during the routine house inspection? An entire stash of prescription-grade sedatives, 5 unopened bottles of the exact herbal tea, and an old flip phone labeled Jackie. Now whether that was Dr. Jackie or a different Jackie, we don't know, but we're assuming that phone's about to be the new holy grail in this investigation. And who else got dragged into this circus of lies? Their kids. Yep, one of their daughters reportedly told Child Protective Services that daddy said mommy was getting in the way of his legacy. Excuse me, getting in the way of what legacy? The legacy of being the gospel husband who almost got cast on Greenleaf? Let's not forget the money trail. Tamela's joint bank account was frozen 3 days before her hospitalization. Multiple transfers were made to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. One of the transfers was memoed final payment. Final what, exactly? David's lawyer tried to say it was for a real estate deal, but unless he's buying a crypt in Bermuda, the math is mathing in one direction, only shady. And just when the public thought they couldn't be more appalled, someone leaked the 911 call. It was Tamela's personal assistant. Voice trembling. She's unconscious. There's blood. And he just walked out. That's it. That's the quote. Mic drop. Instant viral sensation. The man's management team tried to do damage control with a press release saying, David is cooperating fully with authorities and remains committed to his wife's recovery. But girl, we're talking about a man who allegedly laced tea, ghosted doctors, packed a suitcase, and bounced before his wife could say amen. Oh, and Dr. Jackie? She's now in protective custody. Yup, word on the street is she received anonymous threats after going public. One of the messages reportedly said, "Snitches get stitched. In heaven." How poetic. Almost like someone's trying to write a new verse to Psalms with blood. So at this point, the question on everyone's lips: is this attempted murder? Is this insurance fraud? Is this spiritual warfare with a side of RICO? But more importantly, what happens next? Because if you thought this was the climax, baby, the real storm is still brewing. Investigators are circling, lawyers are lawyering, and Tamela Mann? She just opened her eyes for the first time in 72 hours, and what's the first thing she whispered to the nurse? Where's Jackie? Chilly. Roll the credits and then immediately rewind, because part 3 is about to be an all-out spiritual battlefield with subpoenas, broken vows, and a gospel empire collapsing faster than a two-piece suit at a revival tent. And just when we thought it couldn't get any darker, the final blow came straight from the one person David never saw coming. Dr. Jackie. Yes, sis. The same Dr. Jackie who had been Tamela's longtime physician, her confidant, and ironically, the only person not on David's payroll. According to documents obtained by an anonymous nurse working late-night shifts at the hospital who allegedly leaked the info via a burner Instagram account. Dr. Jackie had been monitoring irregularities in Tamela's medical chart for months, quietly, silently, fearfully, because according to her, she already knew someone was messing with Tamela's medication. She just didn't know who. Until now, turns out, David wasn't just relying on charm and church boy charisma. He had allegedly been bribing a hospital technician, a man we're calling Dwayne the Drip Destroyer, to swap out Tamela's for drips with saline mixtures laced with a slow-acting nerve agent. Girl, a nerve agent, not poison from a Lifetime movie. A whole military-grade, lab-coated nerve agent used in interrogation scenarios. The goal? To make Tamela appear sicker and weaker over time while keeping her just conscious enough to sing for the cameras and sign documents. But how did Jackie figure this out? According to leaked voice memos from her private iCloud drive, Dr. Jackie Cross referenced Tamela's blood work with medications she prescribed personally only to find foreign compounds that she never ordered. When she confronted the pharmacy, she was stonewalled. Red flag. When she asked the hospital board to audit the 4 logs, the files were mysteriously corrupted. Double red flag. But when she discovered that David's assistant had badge access to restricted med storage, oh honey, that was the final nail in the coffin. Let's not sugarcoat it. What we're talking about here is not just domestic abuse. This is not a rough patch. This is premeditated chemical warfare against your own wife, who made your career. And once Dr. Jackie took her findings public on a live stream, no less, the dominoes started to fall in real time. In a moment now dubbed the Holy Hell broadcast, Jackie went live in her white coat, no makeup, no filters, standing in front of the same cross that Tamela once sang under. With over 9.3 million views in 24 hours, she exposed everything. The forced swaps, the forged prescriptions, the backroom deals, and even the voice memo of David talking about Tamela being more profitable, sick than strong. Let that sink in. By the time the authorities raided David's home, which conveniently was being renovated to include a state-of-the-art recovery suite with biometric locks, he was gone. Straight up vanished. His phone pinged once in Fort Worth, then in Tulsa, then not at all. Rumors say he's in the Cayman Islands under a fake identity called Pastor L. Mann. No word on whether the L stands for liar, Lucifer, or lowdown snake. Meanwhile, Tamela, she's now in a secure, undisclosed location undergoing physical and psychological rehabilitation. Sources close to the family say she's recovering slowly, and she's absolutely shattered. But here's the kicker. She's reportedly working on a tell-all book titled Sick of Love, The Gospel According to Tamela. Baabi, get your coins ready. As for Dr. Jackie, her license is being threatened. Why? Because instead of going through official hospital channels, which, let's be real, were all compromised, she went public. She broke protocol to save a life. And now the same medical board that turned a blind eye for months wants to review her ethics. Isn't that just peak American hypocrisy? Social media exploded with support for Jackie. Hashtags like #justice for Tamela, #Jackie did right, and #David the Deceive are trended for 3 straight days. Even gospel legends like Yolanda Adams and Kirk Franklin weighed in, publicly siding with Dr. Jackie and encouraging her to keep fighting for the truth. But not everyone is riding the high horse. Tamela and David's own daughter, Tamela Mann, initially remained silent. Then boom, she dropped a cryptic tweet that simply said, "You don't know the half, but you will." That one tweet set the internet ablaze. Is she talking about childhood trauma? Hidden abuse? Is she writing a memoir too? Nobody knows, but everybody's watching. And just when we thought the saga was reaching its climax, a new leak hit Reddit, showing surveillance footage of David meeting with a mysterious man in scrubs inside the hospital cafeteria, sliding him what looks like a thick envelope. Money? Blackmail? A menu of poisons? Chili? It's anyone's guess. All we know is this. The man we thought was the embodiment of wholesome gospel masculinity, the funny husband, the supportive co-star, the loving father, is now the subject of one of the most disturbing celebrity medical conspiracies of the decade. And while the FBI is officially declining to comment, let's not forget, they raided his house with hazmat suits and dogs. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a code red. So the next time someone says, "Black love is forever," remember to ask, at what cost? Now buckle up, because this final call to action is gonna send chills through your spine. So now the question is, are we really surprised? Or just finally paying attention? Because if David Mann really did what they say he did, then baby, this is not just a scandal, it's a full-blown betrayal saga. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned because this rabbit hole, oh, we're just getting started.